Crypto Frog back at ya. In this video, we are going to be talking about yield farming and compound finance. Lots of people on crypto Twitter are like this gentleman here right now when talking about yield farming. But if you don't know what you're doing, there's a high chance you will get wrecked. And I've been in this game for a long time, and even I am struggling to get my head around yield farming. That being said, I'm not here to knock yield farming. If you are making fantastic returns, wonderful, farm away. There is a lot to grasp about yield farming, as perfectly pointed out by this meme I found on the internet. I'll read it for you. Yeah, so you put your Ethereum into Compound as collateral and then borrow USDT. Then you use Etherscan to lend some USDT back so you can farm Comp. Then you take some USD and put it on Balancer to farm BAL. Then you tokenize your Bitcoin and add it to Curve. Then you take the Curve LP tokens and add them to Synthenex so you can farm CRIV, BAL, SNX and REN. There is a lot to grasp. But Comp refers to the governance token of Compound Finance, the protocol. It is given out to lenders and borrowers if they use the platform. Comp, the token has been on an absolute rip. The Compound protocol currently has $934 million worth of assets earning interest across 9 markets. More on that later. And the market cap of Comp now stands at just shy of $800 million. CoinGecko has this rank wrong. It's definitely higher than 21st now. I think it's more like 12th or 13th biggest market cap in cryptocurrency. It had me wondering just how sustainable this is going to be and what are the risks to you if you don't really know what you're doing. I pulled up the dashboard for Compound Finance, and I think the best way to look at Compound is to see it as an exchange of sorts, whatever you want to label it. But unlike your regular exchanges out there where you have a buyer and a seller and they come together and make their trade, this is different because it uses liquidity pools. If you're new to DeFi, liquidity pools are daunting to understand, so I'll do my best to help. But let me slip a disclaimer in here. I still find it rather difficult to know what to do to extract the maximum value out of it. I'm not yet a rural boy, I'm still a city man. But all the cool kids are going to the countryside to yield farm. What you have to do is you have to connect your wallet, use your Coinbase wallet, your Ledger or your MetaMask. Then you have your supply on this side and available to borrow on this side. As I mentioned at the top of the video, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, you said 9 markets, where's the other one? Anyway, your money is safe if you use Compound Finance. Look at these investors they have backing them. Bain Capital, Coinbase, Paradigm, Polychain Capital, Dragonfly Capital. This isn't any fly-by-night operation by any stretch of the imagination. So as you can see, it says here that Compound is an algorithmic autonomous interest rate protocol built for developers to unlock a universe of open financial applications. And I'm not going to lie, it sounds incredibly enticing. And it's really good if you know what you're doing. So you have each of these markets and the interest rates are determined by the algo, which is based on the supply and the demand. And then the interest, that accrues every Ethereum block. If you have basic attention token, BAT, right now, you can lend it out to someone for 25.55%. For wrapped BTC, just over 18%. And 0x for just over 12.3%. The rest of them, not much to write home about. It's important to remember as well, there are no predefined terms. No 30 days, no 60 days, no 1 hour. You can use the protocol for as short a time as 1 block if you want, or as long as you'd like. You are free to withdraw your tokens anytime you like, or repay at any time you like if you are borrowing. Going back to COMP then, which is the governance token of compound finance. The company recently announced the launch of this governance token, which they are giving out to borrowers and lenders on the platform daily. What these tokens do is they give the holders governance rights to make changes to the compound platform. Daily distribution of comp is 2,880 and they're distributed 50-50 between borrowers and lenders on the platform. It's given out across all the different markets, those supplying and those borrowing. It isn't dished out evenly though, that's important to keep in mind. It's paid out based on the interest rate of each of the different markets, with the rate split 50-50 between the two. As I mentioned before, the interest rate on basic attention token is the highest at the minute. Hence, people supplying or borrowing that are receiving the most comp out of the lot, apart from USDT over time. The most has gone to USDT. So what's the optimal strategy to go about yield farming? Well, liquidity miners are compensated for both lending and borrowing. So the optimal way of doing it is to lend the highest interest rate asset, borrow as much as you can against your C asset tokens. Those are a claim on lent assets, and then add the remaining assets back to the lending pool. As I mentioned before, this shit is not easy. This is not the ABCD of crypto. This is the quantum physics, baby, which is why I suggest if you don't know what you're doing, should probably avoid it. If you do know what you're doing, then have a riot, go for it. Now we have projects like this Instadap here, which make things a touch easier for regular folk. They've designed this thing here, maximize your comp mining, maximum comp earnings by folding your position for X. So what this is doing is encouraging people to take out leverage on stablecoins using flash loans. You can go to instadap.io to find this. Click connect your wallet, and you're away. You have 1,000 DAI, for example, then you borrow USDT, swap that USDT for DAI, and deposit that back in for collateral. Did you get that? If you got that, this might be the thing for you, yield farming. If you didn't, you might want to A, brush up and study, or B, avoid it altogether. Instadap says it is a smart wallet for DeFi, which allows users to seamlessly manage all their multiple DeFi apps to maximize returns across the various protocols in the fraction of the time. With Instadap, users can take advantage of sector-leading projects like Compound, MakerDAO, and Uniswap, all in one place. On top of making them easier to use, Instadap also adds additional benefits and use cases for the supported projects that aren't natively supported. Check it out. It's definitely worth looking into, in my opinion. It's essentially leverage, but you're using stable coins. However, that doesn't mean you can't get liquidated. This is an example of someone who went into yield farming thinking, I'm going to make a bunch of money dead easy. And look what happened. I'll just read it for you. Hello, I lent 20,166 USDC and borrowed 15,124 USDT, but my lending and borrowing balance is showing different. Now my supply balance is 12,000 USDC and borrow balance is 7,562 USDT. Someone says, probably you have been liquidated, you borrowed too much. Response to that, but both are stable coins. I borrowed only 75%. Answer from the farmer who knows what he's doing, you missing the part that the interest is growing. Here's someone else that dipped their toe into yield farming without knowing what they're doing. Hey, why they took away my 601 USDT just for 1 USD? Is there any chance that I can get my money back? I'm a very poor person. This is my hard-earned money. Never put more money than you can afford into cryptocurrency, especially yield farming, if you don't understand it. Okay, hey, anyone who got my extra 601 USDC willing to pay me back can pay me. I am a very poor person and this is my lifelong saving. Well, that sucks for you, bro, but please don't play above your comfort level. you will get wrecked. I've seen this meme doing the rounds as well. I don't know, man. It feels like getting a little bit too cocky. All of a sudden, yield farming comes out of left field. And sure, it works if you know what you're doing. But there's nothing wrong with being a normal trader, in my opinion. And trying to get 100x when a coin moons is actually much more profitable than being a yield farmer. Although, if you are a good yield farmer, I must stress, then you can pretty much make a decent return for very low risk. But the returns we're talking about here are in the range of about 100%. Normie investors would be loving that, of course, but we are cryptocurrency chads. 2x doesn't faze us. And while the returns are certainly something to behold, what is both interesting and also slightly worrying, a lot of people quickly worked out that by borrowing non-stable coin assets, they could fairly easily move the interest rate higher, therefore earning a higher portion of the comp rewards. And this is causing the price of some of these assets to rise as people buy these assets to supply and then borrow against them, which, given that the price is rising, suggests that many are not hedging out this exposure, which works out great as long as the price of the asset you are leveraging keeps rising. I can see the attraction. It is extremely enticing, people bragging about all the money they're making. But I wouldn't get too carried away. Don't get any FOMO. If you don't know what you're doing, and even if you do know what you're doing, I think that this yield farming is not completely risk-free. Yes, it's the talk of the town right now, but we should be fully aware of the risk involved. For starters, this is the first time, I'm talking about yield farming here, that many non-technical DeFi users are playing with leverage. And that is a recipe for disaster. And they're doing it all under the assumption that nothing can go wrong. I suggest that if you really want to try it out, you use Instadap to do so and start out small. Because there's a reason liquidation is written here. How long will this pampage, this trend keep going is anyone's guess. There is the risk of liquidation. You do not want to get liquidated. It sucks. And smart contract risk as well. Always keep that in mind and tread carefully. Never put in your life savings to yield farming like this dude. There are a bunch of other minefield mines ready to blow up on your ass too. Smart contract bugs. What happens if the stable coin dollar peg fails? What if one of these pools gets exploited? What if we have a liquidity crunch? What if there's an admin key or governance compromise? Another thing to bear in mind, which is why I don't think you should get major FOMO about yield farming. Yes, it's good. Don't get me wrong. But I think this is an attempt to suck these virgin traders into this field here when they're not ready for it. Plus, as tempting as it is, 100% return on investment, you can make a lot more than that by just buying and selling regular cryptos. And you know what you're doing. For yield farming to really take off, I think there needs to be a really simple way of showing people how to do it. As of now, the best platform for that is Instadap, but it's still fairly complicated for your regular investor. When yield farming came out and compound tokens started pumping comp, everyone on crypto Twitter made a face like this and people FOMO'd in. I do believe that yield farming is here to stay in DeFi. But how sustainable is it at the current levels? You've got to think that at some point comp is going to come back down to earth, shall we say. Also, despite being backed by major big dong players, all this technology is still very new to a great number of people. And throwing hundreds or thousands of dollars around on something you're not completely sure of is never a good idea. So just use caution if you really have to try yield farming. Well done as well to the people who got comp back in 4 days ago. And well done to those people getting those daily 2,880 comp in their account, pretty much risk-free, because they know what they're doing. This is definitely not for beginners. If you have the chops, give it a go. I don't think people should panic too much about comp dumping like shit. I think it's here to stay. I think it might retrace, no financial advice there. And there's nothing wrong about yield farming. It's just a complex game, and I don't want to see people lose a bunch of money. I hope you have a better idea about yield farming now. I tried my best. I'm just a simple man. Business by day, party at night. If you enjoyed this video, throw me a subscribe. That would be muchos apprecione. Also, you can follow me on Twitter, CryptoFrog202. Until we meet again, play safe, stack the Chad. Peace.